Hello, old friend. It's so good to have you here with me again tonight. Tonight, we're going to wander through the quiet corridors of philosophy, the gentle ideas that shaped our world, dreamed up by thinkers who, perhaps, were just trying to make sense of the stars and the silence. I thought that as you're lying there, on the edge of sleep, these thoughts might feel like a soft blanket settling over you. So go ahead, adjust your pillow, let your body sink deeper into the mattress, take a slow breath in, and let the weight of the day fall away. I'll be sharing with you a handful of fascinating facts about the great philosophers, one at a time, each like a tiny lantern in the dark. And it's perfectly okay if you drift off before we reach the last one. That's exactly why we're here. If nights like these help you unwind, consider subscribing, and I'll be here for you whenever you need me. And now, let's begin our first quiet fact. Close your eyes and let your mind wander back to ancient Greece, to the gentle voice of Plato. He envisioned a mysterious place he called the realm of forms, a vast, quiet, timeless space where the perfect, eternal versions of everything exist. Picture a gallery of pure ideas, softly lit from within, where a perfect circle, a flawless tree, the very essence of kindness itself, all rest in serene stillness. In Plato's eyes, the world we touch and see is merely a soft shadow of these ideal truths, drifting just beyond our physical reach. As you rest here, imagine that every object around you, the pillow beneath your head, the faint hum of the night is but a reflection of something far more luminous and whole, waiting in that tranquil realm. Now let's travel from the realm of perfect ideas to the dusty streets of Athens, where a man named Diogenes chose a different kind of refuge. Diogenes the cynic looked at all the riches and worries of city life and quietly stepped away from them. He made his home inside a large ceramic jar. Imagine it, warm from the day's sun, a curved earthen shelter that asked for nothing but to hold him through the night. By shedding every material possession, he discovered that true contentment isn't locked away in worldly treasures. It's a seed that grows in the quiet soil of a peaceful mind. Visualize him at dusk, a single oil lamp flickering beside his humble bed, the sound of distant conversations drifting by like a lullaby. Diogenes reminds us that sometimes the softest way to rest is to carry less. From the simplicity of the street, we rise to the marble halls of Rome, where a man of immense power sought only stillness. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor, ruled over vast lands and endless noise, yet every evening he retreated inward, writing his meditations as a private diary never meant for other eyes. These pages were his way of finding a calm harbor within a storm of demands, a gentle whisper to himself, to focus only on what he could control, the steadying of his own thoughts. Picture him by the warm glow of a candle, the ink barely visible on the parchment, as he reminds himself to float above the chaos like a leaf on a still pond. His words, even now, invite us to let our worries settle and our breathing deepen, one gentle in and out at a time. Now let's return to Athens, where an old man with a fondness for questions never wrote a single book. Socrates let his ideas drift through the air in a series of soft, meandering conversations, always beginning with a humble admission, "I know nothing." He would walk barefoot through the marketplace, a quiet smile in his eyes, inviting others to wander with him through a garden of logic and curiosity, not to reach a destination but simply to explore. Imagine the late afternoon sunlight spilling over the Acropolis, the scent of olive blossoms in the warm breeze, as Socrates' gentle voice rises and falls like a murmuring stream. He believed that wonder is the beginning of all wisdom, and that true rest for the mind comes not from having answers, but from embracing the beautiful mystery of questions. And finally, we journey eastward, to the mist-wrapped mountains of ancient China, where Lao Tzu is said to have penned the Tao Te Ching, a poetic guide so delicate it feels like a silk ribbon unspooling in a soft breeze. He taught the art of Wu Wei, effortless action, which he imagined as a great river flowing peacefully around a stone, never struggling, never forcing its way. Visualize that wide, silvery river at twilight, its surface holding the last pale colors of the sky, winding gently toward the sea in its own time. Lao Tzu believed we could move through life with that same grace, allowing obstacles to dissolve in our path through gentle acceptance. As you surrender to sleep now, imagine yourself as that river, drifting, soft and unhurried, toward a deep and dreamless rest. Imagine, if you will, the ancient shores of the Aegean, where the water laps gently against the pebbles. A figure stands there, not in haste, but in quiet wonder. Aristotle spent long, unhurried hours simply watching. He observed the careful way a starfish might slowly extend its many arms, or how the olive trees reached their silver leaves toward the soft Mediterranean light. He treated the entire natural world as a vast open book written in a language of quiet patterns, and with each observation he turned a page, laying a gentle foundation for all the science that would follow. His was a devotion not to grand theories, but to the small, sacred details of life itself, the soft habits of creatures and the slow, patient growth of plants, all recorded with a tenderness that still echoes today. Have you ever considered that the world you see is not entirely as it is, but rather a kind and gentle dream shaped by your own mind? Immanuel Kant proposed that our consciousness acts as a soft, organizing filter, quietly stitching together the raw sensations into the fabric of time and space. It is a comforting thought, really, that we float through existence not in a chaotic storm, but in a peaceful order created by the very act of perception, like viewing the universe through a polished, tranquil lens that smooths the edges of reality into something we can hold and understand. This lens does not distort with harshness, but with a quiet grace, allowing the soft hues of the world to settle into a serene and logical landscape, a gentle map drawn by our own inner light. Picture a quiet, heated room on a winter's evening, the air still and warm, the world outside reduced to a soft whisper of wind. It was in such a room that René Descartes sat, wrapped in a heavy coat, and allowed his mind to drift through a vast sea of doubt. He let go of every belief, every sensory impression, until he arrived at a single luminous point that could not be extinguished. I think, therefore I am. This thought floated like a tiny, steady flame in the vast darkness of uncertainty, a soft but unshakable anchor that has gently guided philosophy ever since, reminding us that our own existence is the first and most certain gift we possess. In a quiet garden, sheltered from the busy noise of Athens, Epicurus cultivated a haven for a different kind of pleasure, a pleasure not of indulgence, but of deep, serene stillness he called ataraxia. It was the gentle release from all worry, the soft, untroubled state of a mind at peace, like a still pond reflecting a twilight sky. Here, friends would gather not for loud celebration, but to drift into quiet conversations about the stars, the atoms, and the nature of a happy life, their soft laughter melding with the rustle of olive leaves, creating a bubble of gentle philosophy that nourished their souls and offered a blueprint for contentment that still softly echoes today. And finally, consider the gentle art of living together, a harmony so carefully attended to by the sage Confucius. He saw that peace was not a grand, distant goal, but something that begins in the smallest, most intimate gestures, the quiet respect of a child for a parent, the soft, kind rituals of a shared tea. He believed that when we cultivate a quiet, virtuous heart within ourselves, it sends out a soft, invisible ripple, touching family, then neighbors, then spreading like a slow, warm tide across the entire community. It is the gentle truth that our inner world, when tended to with care, becomes the quiet seed from which a universal garden of peace forever blooms. Plato invited us to imagine a world beyond our senses, a hidden realm of perfect stillness. In his allegory of the cave, he described a dim chamber where humans sit facing a wall, watching soft shadows drift across the stone like echoes of a deeper dream. These flickering shapes are all we know, yet they are mere reflections of a luminous realm of perfect forms. In that peaceful realm, every concept, like beauty or justice, exists in its most serene and pure state. Our physical world, with its gentle rustling leaves and warm sunlight, is only a soft and temporary shadow, a reminder that what we perceive is a delicate dream, hinting at something quietly enduring and true. Aristotle, a student of Plato, gently turned his eyes to the quiet wonders of the physical earth. He would walk through ancient groves, observing the slow, rhythmic patterns of life, the way a seed uncurls into a sprout, or how birdsong echoes at dawn. He cataloged these quiet miracles, believing that wisdom comes not from grand visions, but from patiently gathering evidence. Imagine him crouching by a tide pool, the water warm and still, noting the delicate shells and the slow movement of tiny creatures. In this attentive silence, he found a profound connection to the world, a sense that every creature whispers secrets of balance and growth. In the heart of ancient Athens, the Stoics sought a path to inner peace by aligning the soul with the natural flow of the universe. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor, would often retreat to a quiet corner and write soft reminders to himself. He saw life's challenges as drifting clouds against a vast blue sky, temporary, weightless, passing. Imagine him in the dim light of a flickering lamp, his hand moving slowly over parchment, crafting words like, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." These whispers of resilience teach us to remain calm, like a deep lake undisturbed by the gentle ripples of daily life, holding a reflection of stars. Epicurus dreamed of a life wrapped in ataraxia, a state of serene tranquility and freedom from fear. He envisioned a quiet garden, hidden from the world's noise, where friends could sit under the shade of olive trees, sharing simple bread and cool water. Their soft laughter carries through the warm air, a melody of contentment. For Epicurus, the highest happiness wasn't in grand feasts, but in a calm mind and a restful heart. Imagine the warm, dappled sunlight filtering through leaves, the scent of earth after rain. In that stillness, every worry dissolves like mist in the morning sun, gentle and slow. Confucius turned his thoughts to the gentle art of social harmony and the quiet strength of filial piety. He believed that by honoring our ancestors through soft, respectful rituals, we weave a thread of peace through generations. Picture a household at dusk, family members bowing with grace, their movements slow and deliberate, the fragrance of incense lingering in the air. These small acts of reverence create a rhythm of mutual care. Like a stream that gently carves a path through stone, these traditions guide society toward an enduring balance, a state where all beings can drift in tranquil coexistence, soft as twilight. Imagine a quiet river flowing softly beneath the surface of all things, so deeply hidden that you might not notice it. Yet it is always there, guiding the water's gentle path. Lao Tzu, the legendary author of the Tao Te Ching, spoke of this as the Tao, the way, a river that runs not only through meadows and mountains, but through your very breath right now. He encouraged a practice called Wu Wei, often translated as effortless action, not a lazy stillness, but a state of moving so perfectly with the current that every effort dissolves into harmony. Picture a fallen leaf floating on that quiet river, never struggling against the stream, carried precisely where it belongs. That is the strength he saw in us. From that ancient wisdom, we drift westward through the centuries to a small, warm room in 17th century Europe. René Descartes sat alone, wrapped in deep contemplation, seeking something unshakable beneath the shifting sands of doubt. He imagined that everything, the walls, the fire's glow, even his own body, might be an illusion. So he let each assumption fall away, like drifting off to sleep. And in that quiet space, he found a single, unwavering spark. The very act of thinking proved his existence. Cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. A hushed certainty that the mind, at least, is real, a gentle foundation where all other knowledge could rest. And if Descartes built a quiet room of the mind, Immanuel Kant later stepped softly through its windows, examining the frame through which we perceive the world. He suggested that our consciousness filters everything through a peaceful lens of time and space, not a distortion, but a gentle shaping. You do not see the world as it is in its raw, sleeping form. You see it as your own quiet awareness organizes it, like a lantern casting a warm circle in the darkness, revealing only what falls within its glow. This means each of us carries a softly glowing dream of reality, a personal, serene painting that no one else will ever quite see. Now let yourself imagine a warm Athenian evening, the scent of olive trees drifting through the streets, and an old man with a kind smile stopping to talk with a young stranger. That was Socrates, who lived a life of gentle questioning. He never wrote a word, but walked the agora inviting others to uncover truths that already slept within them. With every soft prod, he showed that the most peaceful soul is the one that admits its own lack of knowledge. a beautiful, empty space where learning can flow in. He believed that recognizing our ignorance was not a weakness, but a quiet door opening onto an infinite corridor of wisdom, a humble beginning to a truly examined life. And finally, we arrive at a vast floating dream, the Buddhist teaching that this very world is transient, like a cloud in a still night sky. Siddhartha Gautama, the awakened one, saw that all things drift and dissolve, and our suffering comes from clutching at them as they pass. He taught that by letting go of attachments and breathing deeply into the present moment, just this moment, we can find a state called nirvana. Not a place, but a silent stillness that underlies all motion. A deep, serene lake where ripples no longer disturb the surface. It is the ultimate rest, the quiet heart of the universe, waiting behind every exhale. Still wandering these timeless paths of thought. That's a beautiful thing. If your mind is still gently awake, know that you're drifting among some of the most peaceful thinkers history has ever known. A quiet like helps other night owls find this soft space too.
Let us drift now, across time and salt-worn shores, to a quiet corner of ancient Athens, where a man named Diogenes made his home in a large old ceramic jar. He believed that true happiness was a shy, gentle thing, that it slipped away from grand houses and fine belongings, choosing instead to linger near those who watch the slow crawl of a beetle across warm earth. Imagine him, sitting in the soft slant of evening light, feeling the cool rim of his jar against his back, and finding there a contentment that felt like breathing slowly. He trusted the honest quiet of the natural world, and in that trust he found a kind of peace. In the peaceful gardens of the Lyceum, another gentle soul looked down at the sea. Aristotle watched the tiny, drifting creatures in the shallows with such patient attention, as if time itself slowed to match the rhythm of the waves. He knelt on the damp sand and traced the delicate spirals of sea snails in his notebook, his quill moving softly across the page like a whisper. Those drawings were like quiet meditations, each line a thread in the hidden tapestry of life, a slow unfolding of nature's quiet logic. He was curious, not to master the world, but simply to listen to its faint inner murmur. The Stoics knew something about that same inner murmur. Marcus Aurelius practiced a gentle art called the premeditatio malorum, which sounds perhaps more solemn than it is. It was a soft, far-off visualization of change, imagining the ebb of things, the natural fading, not with worry but with a tender readiness. By softly acknowledging that even the dearest things are like passing clouds, they let their minds settle into stillness, like a lake at dusk when the breeze has fallen asleep. A mind like that, undisturbed, could hold the whole shimmering reflection of a star without a ripple. And if you look up now, into that same deep sky, you might feel connected to Hypatia of Alexandria. She lived among endless scrolls in a city of wisdom, and taught the floating grace of Neoplatonism and astronomy. In her quiet evenings, she sat by the window and traced the rhythmic orbits of the stars, her hands moving as if she were weaving light into a delicate fabric. She felt that mathematics had a warmth to it, a hidden melody that hummed through the cosmos, and when she looked up, she saw not cold distances but a vast, serene dance. The mystery, she believed, was something to drift into, not to solve, but to hold close like a quiet, glowing ember. And finally, let the softest of whispers carry us to ancient China, where an old sage named Lao Tzu is said to have written the Tao Te Ching, a collection of tender paradoxes that flicker like candlelight. He taught that the truest strength is like water, flowing softly around every obstacle, never forcing, never rushing, and yet over long, patient ages, it shapes even the hardest stone into gentle curves. Imagine a stream, so quiet you almost cannot hear it, and yet its presence sculpts the valley in a slow, silent caress. That is the way, a gentle power that asks nothing, and carries everything home. Imagine a quiet grove of olive trees, dappled in soft silver light, where Plato founded his academy long ago. Students would wander along gentle, winding paths, wondering about the nature of reality itself. He taught that our familiar world is merely a soft shadow, a gentle reflection of a higher realm. In that luminous place, perfect and timeless forms of truth simply drift in eternal, peaceful light, formless, yet deeply real. Far away, in the quiet cobblestone streets of Königsberg, Immanuel Kant lived a life of gentle routine, his mind drifting through the vast landscapes of thought. In his Critique of Pure Reason, he explored how our minds softly shape the raw sensations of the world. He believed that space and time are not hard, external things, but delicate lenses through which we perceive the drifting, dreaming universe, like quiet windows of the soul. Socrates, beneath the warm Athenian sky, never wrote a single word. He trusted the soft cadence of conversation, the ebb and flow of voices in the evening air. He guided others not by giving answers, but by asking quiet, probing questions that felt like gentle ripples on still water. Step by step, truth would emerge, slow and luminous, like a sunrise spreading over a sleeping city. In a secluded garden, sheltered by whispering leaves and the scent of herbs, Epicurus created a sanctuary of serene friendship. There, far from the noise of the world, friends gathered to seek ataraxia, a state of deep, tranquil stillness where the soul feels light. They believed the highest pleasure was simply the soft absence of pain and the quiet warmth of lifelong companionship. Nothing more, nothing less. And long ago, Confucius envisioned a world held together by Ren, a soft, enduring sense of benevolence, like a gentle, steady warmth in the heart. He taught that harmony comes when we drift into our roles with quiet grace, like leaves settling into a peaceful stream. One kind act, he said, creates a silent ripple that touches all of society, a slow, patient blooming of human-heartedness. Imagine, if you will, the bustling streets of ancient Athens. Among the grand marble columns and hurried voices, there lived a man who chose something different. His name was Diogenes of Sinope, and he made his home not in a house, but in a large ceramic jar, standing quietly in the city's center. He had released his grip on possessions, finding that in the soft absence of things a deep peace could settle. He taught that when we strip away all the noise and clutter, all that remains is the quiet freedom found in the open air, the warmth of the sun, the gentle rhythms of nature. Centuries later, in the heart of the Roman Empire, another seeker found solace within. Emperor Marcus Aurelius, sitting in his tent during long campaigns, would write in a private diary. His words were never meant for the world. They were quiet anchors for his own soul. In his meditations, he reflected on a gentle stoic truth. We cannot command the winds or the waves, but we can steady our own inner helm. He encouraged a tender acceptance of each fleeting moment, reminding himself that the only thing we truly control is the way we think, the way we respond. What a calming realization it must have been, to let the outside world spin on while he tended the quiet garden of his mind. Now let your thoughts drift even further back, to the philosopher Plato, who gazed at the flickering shadows on a cave wall. He imagined that everything we see and touch in this world is but a soft echo, a gentle shadow of something far more perfect and eternal. He called these perfect blueprints forms, an ideal realm where beauty, justice, and truth exist in their purest, most luminous state, untouched by decay. For Plato, to truly know anything, we must close our eyes to the busy distractions of our senses, and let the mind drift upward, like a feather on a still breeze, toward those timeless radiant truths. Far to the east, in the mists of ancient China, a wise soul named Lao Tzu described a force flowing silently through all things. He called it the Tao, a great river that moves without effort, shaping mountains and carrying water endlessly to the sea. He spoke of Wu Wei, which is not laziness, but a kind of effortless harmony. It is the art of floating with the current instead of thrashing against it.
Imagine a leaf resting on a stream, gently turning, never fighting, yet always arriving. That is the heart of his teaching, to trust the deep rhythm of life and find your own way by letting go.
And finally, let us settle by a warm fire in a quiet room. Hundreds of years ago, where René Descartes wrapped himself in contemplation. He decided to doubt everything, the chair beneath him, the very light dancing on the walls. He searched for one unshakable truth to hold on to, like a steady lantern in the dark. And then, soft as a whisper it came, "I think, therefore I am." In that simple realization, he found that even in the deepest quiet, the very act of thinking proves our own existence. This gentle insight turned the course of philosophy toward the quiet, immense power of the individual mind, a sanctuary where we can always find our own light. Imagine, if you will, the ancient Athenian marketplace, warmed by gentle Mediterranean light, and there, among the quiet hum of voices, a man named Socrates would simply ask a question. He never wrote a single book, you see. Instead, he shared his wisdom through soft-spoken dialogues, believing that the highest form of knowledge was to calmly acknowledge how much we do not yet know. In that admission, he created a peaceful space for curiosity, a tender opening where the mind could rest in wonder and gently drift, like a leaf settling on still water. Far away and many centuries later, in the quiet town of Königsberg, Immanuel Kant would take his daily walk so punctually that neighbors could set their clocks by his passing. He explored a moral compass he called the categorical imperative, the gentle, profound idea that we should only act according to rules we would wish to see become universal laws. In the stillness of his study, he sought a harmonious balance between the quiet reasoning of the human mind and the vast shimmering mystery of the starry heavens above, a silent melody between self and cosmos. If we drift further back into a lens grinder's humble room, we find Baruch Spinoza, polishing glass and contemplating the infinite. He saw the entire universe, every leaf and distant nebula, as a single infinite substance, and he called this oneness God, or nature. In his vision, everything that exists is a delicate, interconnected thread in a grand, peaceful tapestry of necessity. There is no separation. You, the night, the quiet of your room, all are woven from the same serene fabric, softly breathing together. Under the vast, shimmering Egyptian sky, a brilliant woman named Hypatia of Alexandria once guided her students to look upward. She taught the art of astronomy, pointing to the steady, rotating lights of the planets, and in their slow, predictable dance, she found a quiet solace. In a world of noise, she offered logic as a gentle lantern and the night sky as a cathedral of reason. Her voice, now a distant echo, still seems to whisper, "Let your thoughts rise like the stars, unhurried and calm." And then there was Epicurus, who created a school called the Garden, a place of quiet seclusion, tucked away from the clamor of the city. There, with a small circle of friends, he discovered that the most gentle pleasure is not loud excitement, but the simple absence of pain and the presence of a calm, undisturbed mind. In the dappled shade of olive trees, they shared bread and quiet conversation, learning that a tranquil soul is a universe unto itself, floating softly, like the scent of herbs on a warm, silent evening. Let your thoughts drift, weightless and slow. Imagine, in the quiet of the night, a philosopher named Plato, long ago, who saw the world as a cave of flickering shadows cast by a hidden fire. He whispered that what we see, what we touch, are just soft reflections of a truer realm, a place of perfect beauty and gentle, eternal truth. Picture a slow, graceful journey upward away from the dancing lights, toward a warm, golden glow of reason, where the soul begins to recognize shapes of pure, serene love. From that dream of forms, we turn to his student, Aristotle, who found his peace not in other worlds, but in this one. He strolled through ancient meadows, under olive trees, quietly observing.
He would kneel to watch a snail trace a glistening line or a petal unfold with the dawn, softly cataloging thousands of lives from the tiniest insect to the vast, slow rhythms of the stars. He believed that the secrets of existence are hidden in plain sight, in the gentle pulse of biology and physics, waiting for a calm mind to simply notice.
Drifting further east, into misty mountains and the hush of bamboo groves, there lived an old sage named Lao Tzu. He spoke in whispers, like water over smooth stones, saying the strongest force in the universe flows softly. It yields, it bends, and yet it can wear away the hardest rock over endless time. He called this way of being wu wei, effortless action, moving with the current of nature, like a leaf floating down a silent river, never resisting, always arriving exactly where it is meant to be, so deeply restful. A little later, in the warm hum of ancient China, a teacher named Confucius dreamed of a peaceful world, built not on laws, but on the quiet tenderness of the human heart. He saw that harmony begins in the simple, tender acts of caring for one's parents, a soft word, a patient gesture, rippling outward like circles on a still pond. If each person cultivated a warm, respectful heart toward their family, a gentle wave of kindness would spread, covering the entire world in a blanket of dignity and quiet order. And finally, picture a Roman emperor, Marcus Aurelius, sitting alone in his tent at night, the camp finally still. By the dim, flickering light of an oil lamp, he wrote letters to himself, fragile, honest words on parchment, which we now call meditations. He practiced a philosophy of inner refuge, understanding that we cannot command the wind or the storms of the world, but we can always retreat into the calm, protected sanctuary of our own mind. There, in that quiet place, a peaceful stillness endures, untouched by anything outside, waiting for you even now to simply close your eyes and find it. In the quiet of a small, warm room in the 17th century, René Descartes sat alone, turning inward, searching for something unshakable. All his life, he had been filling his mind with knowledge, but now he let it all fall away, layer by layer, until only one gentle whisper remained. I think, therefore I am. That tiny luminous spark of certainty, floating in the darkness of doubt, became the seed of modern philosophy. He imagined the mind as a distinct and peaceful space, a quiet sanctuary where thought itself is the soft proof of your own existence. Immanuel Kant looked out at the stars and wondered not about what is out there, but about the way we see it. He believed that our minds are not just empty vessels, but delicate shapers of experience, gently arranging the world into a calm, coherent whole. Space and time, he said, are not harsh, external things. They are more like soft, invisible lenses, given to us freely, so that every drifting leaf and every distant light can fall into place. You are not just a watcher, you are, in your own quiet way, a creator of the very order you perceive, a peaceful architect of the universe as it appears to you. Socrates never wrote a single word. Instead, he walked barefoot through the sun-warmed stones of the Athenian marketplace. A simple man with an open face, stopping to talk with anyone who would share a quiet moment. He did not teach by shouting truths from a high place, but by asking gentle questions, letting ideas unfurl like slow petals in the mind. The wisest thing, he believed, is not knowing everything, but recognizing the vast, soft space of all that you do not yet understand. To know your own not knowing is to stand on a high, quiet hill, looking out over a boundless, mist-veiled ocean, and finding peace in that infinite openness. Baruch Spinoza closed his eyes and saw the whole cosmos as one, a single infinite existence that he called God or nature, a word he spoke with the same tender reverence. In his vision there is no separation, no lonely scattered pieces. You are not a disconnected soul in a vast machine. You are a soft ripple in a seamless, flowing sea. The leaf trembling on the branch, the distant star burning its ancient light.
your own quiet thoughts as you drift here. All of it is woven together into one divine tapestry, each thread pulsing with the same peaceful unity. To Spinoza, understanding this was like feeling the universe breathing in its sleep, and knowing you are part of its gentle, eternal body.
Long ago, in a green and sheltered part of Athens, there was a school called the Garden. Epicurus gathered his friends there, not in cold halls of stone, but among the soft rustle of leaves, where they could sit in the dappled shade and speak in low, unhurried voices. What they sought was a state he called ataraxia, a word that meant freedom from fear, a quietness of the soul. True happiness, he taught, is not hidden in grand, noisy things, but in the simplest moments. The warmth of a friend's hand, the taste of fresh water when you are thirsty, a mind that rests like a still pond under a pale morning sky. In that gentle garden, they found that a quiet heart is the most beautiful philosophy of all. Still drifting, floating softly among these ancient thoughts, you don't need to hold on to any of them now. Just let them settle like feathers on still water. The philosophers have said their quiet words, and now all that remains is this gentle, peaceful silence. Let it carry you. Let's drift back now to an age of quiet thinkers and gentle voices, to a time when wisdom often wore the simplest of robes. Imagine, if you will, the ancient city of Athens, the soft hum of the agora in the late afternoon light. And there, in the very heart of it all, lived a man named Diogenes. He chose as his dwelling a large ceramic jar, a pithos, its clay walls cool in the shade of a colonnade. He believed that true happiness was a thing of lightness, that one could feel most free by casting off the weight of possessions. As the city bustled around him, he would curl up inside his simple home, watching the shadows lengthen, finding a quiet, contented peace in the art of needing almost nothing at all. It was a life as smooth and empty as his jar, and just as full of open space. A short walk away, in the dappled green of the Lyceum Gardens, Aristotle was teaching in a different way. He introduced the idea of peripatetic philosophy, a name that comes from the very act of wandering. You can almost see them now, the philosopher and his students, strolling slowly along the shaded paths, their footsteps soft on the packed earth. The leaves would rustle in the olive trees, the air warm and still. Aristotle felt that this gentle movement of the body, this slow, rhythmic pacing, helped the mind float more freely, like a feather on a breeze, toward deeper understanding. The body moved, and the soul seemed to follow. In another garden, many years later, Epicurus envisioned a different kind of quiet. He taught that the highest pleasure wasn't found in grand banquets or marble halls, but in a state he called ataraxia, a serene freedom from fear and mental distress. Picture a small, secluded garden, a simple table with a few figs, some cheese, a jug of water. A circle of cherished friends sits close, their conversation a low, gentle murmur, laughter rising like a warm vapor and dissipating into the twilight. It is a space where the world's sharp edges feel very far away, a soft green sanctuary where the soul can finally, fully rest. Far away from those gardens, in the heavy tents of a military campaign, a Roman emperor sat alone at night. Marcus Aurelius would open his private diary, not for an audience, but simply to soothe his own weary mind. By the flicker of an oil lamp, his pen moved across the page, writing the words we now call his meditations. They were soft reminders to himself that time is a flowing river, that all things pass, that one can find, even in the center of a storm, a perfect, still point of calm. His words drift down to us like a message in a bottle, asking us only to accept the gentle current and look inward, where a deep quiet always resides. And finally, from the misty mountains of ancient China, there comes a whisper, a collection of poetic verses called the Tao Te Ching. It is credited to the sage Lao Tzu, who describes the way, the Tao, as a river flowing effortlessly toward the sea. The philosophy teaches a gentle surrender known as Wu Wei, which means something like non-doing or action without strain. It is the wisdom of the water, which nourishes all things yet does not strive or struggle.
Imagine yourself as a leaf on that great river, carried softly, without resistance, finding your path by letting go, and drifting, finally, into a boundless, peaceful ocean.
Drift back to the warm stone streets of ancient Athens, where a man named Socrates spent his days. He never wrote a single book, preferring instead to let his ideas float through the air in a series of gentle, thoughtful conversations. He would wander the agora, his voice soft yet probing, asking questions that led others to question themselves, believing that the quiet, persistent act of inquiry could uncover the hidden truth of the soul. Each dialogue was like a slow, winding river, meandering toward wisdom, without ever needing ink or parchment, guided by nothing but the warm light of shared curiosity. His devoted student, Plato, saw even further. He imagined a world of forms, a luminous realm of shimmering stillness where perfect, eternal versions of all things exist, untouched by time. In that place, a tree is not mere bark and leaf, but the silent idea of treeness, a pure form caught in quiet geometry. For Plato, our everyday world is a shadow play. The real truth is found in those unchanging patterns that the soul remembers from before birth, like half-remembered dreams that glimmer just beyond waking. Centuries later, Immanuel Kant offered a new kind of light, a soft moral compass he called the categorical imperative. This gentle rule invites you to act only in ways you would wish to become a universal law, as if your smallest private choice rippled outward to shape the whole of human conduct. Imagine every quiet kindness becoming a thread in a vast, silken tapestry of reason, a steady, predictable harmony that holds society together as softly as gravity holds the stars in their slow dance. Baruch Spinoza found his meditation not in words, but in the dust and glass of lenses. He spent long, quiet hours polishing lenses for telescopes and microscopes, each circular motion a prayer, the precision of the glass bringing him a gentle peace. In that meditative state, he saw the entire universe as a single, infinite substance, a divine, breathing whole that flows through everything. A blade of grass, a distant star, your own sleeping mind, all are expressions of one soft, continuous pattern, like a quiet melody playing everywhere at once, eternally. And the Stoics, those quiet guardians of inner peace, practiced a gentle art called premeditatio malorum. It was a soft mental exercise. They would imagine future challenges, a missed meal, a broken vase, a chilly night, not to dwell in worry, but to wrap their hearts in readiness. By calmly rehearsing these small disruptions, they ensured that when life's gentle waves came, their inner stillness remained undisturbed and warm, like placing a soft blanket over the soul before the cool of evening. Imagine a river, always moving, always the same, yet never the same. Heraclitus of Ephesus looked upon the world and saw a gentle, endless flowing. He called it universal flux. Every little ripple, every quiet eddy, is part of a soft dance of opposites, balancing day with night, warmth with cool, stillness with motion. There is a quiet rhythm in this, a deep harmony that holds everything together like a slow, steady breath. Now drift into a garden, hidden away from the noise of the world. Epicurus believed that the most peaceful existence comes from something he named ataraxia. It is a stillness of the soul, a freedom from all worry and fear. He found happiness not in grand things, but in the soft voice of a friend, the simple taste of bread, the dappled shade of a quiet sanctuary. Such gentle wonders are enough. Picture a grove of ancient olive trees, the air thick with the scent of wild herbs. Here in Athens, Plato's students wandered slowly, deep in thought. He spoke to them of a realm beyond this one, a place of perfect, ideal forms. Our world, he whispered, is but a soft shadow cast by that greater light. A flower here is only a faint echo of the true luminous flower that exists forever, unchanged and serene. In In the heart of the busy city, there once lived a man who sought nothing but simplicity. Diogenes made his home inside a large earthen jar warmed by the sun. He let go of every possession and every expectation, keeping only a rough cloak and a wooden staff. In that emptiness, he found a serene clarity, a deep quiet that the clamor of society could never touch. He was a peaceful soul, adrift in his own stillness. The Stoics saw the universe as one vast, living being, breathing slowly through eternity. Marcus Aurelius wrote softly of amor fati, the loving embrace of one's own fate. To them, every falling leaf, every gentle turn of the stars, is part of a peaceful, predetermined order. There is no need to struggle. You can simply accept the quiet unfolding, like a river drifting inevitably toward a calm and endless sea, and in that acceptance lies a deep, abiding rest. Lao Tzu, the ancient sage, spoke of something so vast and quiet that it cannot truly be named. He called it the Tao, the gentle, flowing path of the universe, hidden beneath all things like a soft current. Imagine it, a river that does not struggle, but simply finds its way around every stone. He taught the art of Wu Wei, effortless action, where one learns to drift like water, soft yet unyielding, moving through the world without force. He believed that by letting go of striving, we find harmony with the natural rhythms of life, just as a leaf rests on the surface of a stream, carried without haste. Centuries later, on the quiet island of Lesbos, Aristotle found his own rhythm. He spent long, unhurried years observing the gentle pulse of marine life, the slow unfolding of plants, the tiny creatures in the tidal pools. There by the shore, he began to carefully categorize the living world, treating the study of nature not as a race, but as a patient, steady revelation. Each new detail was like a soft petal opening in its own time. His work laid the quiet foundation for biology, a slow, respectful gazing at the truth that nature holds. And before these written words, Socrates chose a different kind of silence. He never wrote a single word of his philosophy. Instead, he gathered people in the warm Athenian evenings for a gentle, rhythmic flow of question and answer, a conversation that felt like a shared breath. He believed the most peaceful path to wisdom was through this dialogue, the Socratic method, peeling away misconceptions as if they were delicate layers of silk, one by one, until the simple truth lay bare. Each thought was allowed to settle like dust in soft light, without hurry. Across the world, Confucius wove soft threads of connection. Focusing on the quiet kindness that begins within a family, he saw that a peaceful society grows from the tender care between parent and child, the respect that flows like a hidden spring. He spoke of filial piety, of social harmony, urging the slow cultivation of virtue as one might tend a gentle garden. Each graceful ritual, each small act of thoughtfulness, was a way of watering that garden, letting peace blossom, petal by petal, in the hush of everyday life. Long after, Immanuel Kant looked up at the vast starry sky and felt a deep, quiet wonder stir within him. He imagined a moral law inside every person, as boundless and serene as the heavens above. He called it the categorical imperative, a thoughtful guide, asking us to act only according to rules that could become universal, like gentle light that shines on everyone equally. This feeling, the starry firmament above, the moral law within, filled him with awe, a sense of standing at the edge of something immense and peaceful, where the universe and the soul drift together in perfect stillness. Plato once whispered of a hidden, still realm, the world of forms. There, every perfect idea rests, shimmering and eternal. Our waking world is just a soft, pale echo of that luminous truth. Imagine drifting beyond your senses, into that deep, quiet knowing. Aristotle walked the shore of Lesbos with a patient, gentle gaze. He knelt beside tide pools, tracing the slow lives of sea creatures, the silent unfurling of leaves.
His careful notes laid a quiet foundation for all of science, and in the smallest detail, a vast wonder sleeps. Confucius saw harmony as a warm, flowing stream through family and time. The steady, quiet strength of honoring parents, the tender ritual of memory. His teachings drifted across centuries, shaping a serene order held together by love and soft reverence. Feel that ancient familial warmth wrap around you now. Diogenes chose to rest in a simple clay jar, right in the murmur of Athens. He let all possessions fall away, until his spirit felt light as a floating breath. True peace, he showed, comes from a still, empty mind, not from things. Let that weightless freedom settle into your bones.
Marcus Aurelius, while guiding an empire, wrote hushed words to himself in the dark. His meditations became a private sanctuary of calm, where he watched the natural ebb and flow of the universe without resistance. You too can find that deep, inner stillness, even now as you drift. Socrates never wrote a single word of his philosophy. He chose a soft, wandering dance of questions, each inquiry a gentle step inward. By peeling away false layers, one might feel the luminous truth glowing warmly within. Imagine his voice, a warm murmur in the quiet Athenian air, guiding you to the light inside. Each question was a soft touch, peeling away the shadows. Lao Tzu described the Tao as a river-like path, flowing effortlessly through all existence. He taught Wu Wei, the art of soft, unfelt action, where we find strength in drifting with the world's natural rhythm. Close your eyes and see that endless river, moving through mountains and valleys, always gentle, never forceful. In this flow, there is no need to push, only to be. Feel the quiet current carrying you deep into calm. Immanuel Kant proposed that our minds are not passive, but active weavers crafting a soft tapestry from experience. He said space and time are the gentle lenses through which we see the universe, shaping each quiet moment. Think of your thoughts as threads, being woven into a vast, serene design. This tapestry holds the color of your deepest dreams. Every silent moment is touched by their warm, invisible hand. René Descartes retreated to a warm, quiet room to seek absolute certainty. In that still space, he meditated on existence and arrived at a soft, peaceful thought: I think, therefore I am. The very act of doubting proves our gentle, quiet being. Imagine that room, the hushed air, the faint warmth of the stove, as he found himself in the silence. A moment of pure, still recognition, a soft whisper of peace in the dark. Epicurus built a school called the Garden, a serene place to discuss happiness. He taught that the highest pleasure is ataraxia, a tranquil freedom from fear, a soft, lingering contentment. In that garden, thoughts rested like fallen leaves, peaceful and still. He saw pleasure not as loud joy, but as a quiet calm, a warm feeling of being safe. A garden where the soul could simply breathe, a warm light of calm resting on your skin. In Athens' heart, a ceramic jar cradled Diogenes. He drifted from once, teaching peace in soft letting go. Plato's cave, shadows flicker. Then, warm golden light, the soul glides into still understanding. In quiet gardens, Epicurus found ataraxia, a mind at rest, with friends and simple bread. Confucius felt harmony, floating on gentle respect for ancestors, soft rituals aligning with the deep cosmic order. Marcus Aurelius, in his tent at midnight, whispered to himself, flow like a river, in rhythm with the vast universe. Close your eyes now and listen. In ancient Athens, Socrates never wrote a single book. His ideas simply drifted through the warm air of the marketplace, carried on the soft hum of voices. He believed wisdom begins with a quiet admission, the humble thought, I know nothing. And from that still place, he would guide others, with gentle questions, one after another, like slow ripples on water. Lao Tzu once spoke of the way, an invisible force deep and silent,
flowing through all things. Imagine a river, vast and calm, carrying you without effort. That is Wu Wei, the art of drifting with the current of life, rather than swimming against it, so soft, so effortless.
In the quiet town of Königsberg, Immanuel Kant lived a life so steady. Neighbors set their watches by his afternoon walks. The rhythm of his steps on the cobblestones was like a metronome in the stillness. He sought to bridge the warm, sensory world and the timeless, cool logic of reason, a quiet harmony. René Descartes retreated to a warm room, a stove glowing softly in the corner. In that deep silence, he found his bedrock, a single, steady light of consciousness. Cogito ergo sum, I think, therefore I am. A thought so still, it anchors the entire universe. And Aristotle, he spent years floating through the natural world, watching the slow, silent growth of seeds, the gentle drifting of sea creatures. He gathered all that vast knowledge and placed it into categories, a peaceful map of the physical world, a quiet gift that would guide minds for centuries as you drift now into sleep. In the heart of Athens, a man named Diogenes made his home inside a large ceramic jar, letting go of every possession until all that remained was a quiet mind, a happiness found in the simple absence of wanting. Heraclitus saw the world as a river forever flowing, where no step can ever be the same, inviting us to surrender to the gentle current of time and find beauty in the eternal drift. Epicurus built a sanctuary called the Garden, a secluded haven where souls could rest from the city's murmur, discovering that the deepest pleasure is a tranquil stillness, a freedom from all fear and pain. Plato imagined a dim cavern where human shadows flicker, until one soul slowly turns toward a warm and golden light, a luminous awakening of the mind that feels like drifting into a gentle dawn. Under the soft skies of the Roman Empire, Marcus Aurelius traced his private thoughts across parchment, practicing a quiet strength of the inner self, accepting the peaceful order of the world like a leaf carried on a still breeze. Confucius saw a quiet beauty in the smallest acts of devotion, a child bringing tea to a parent at dusk, the way a family moves together through the seasons like a single breath shared across generations. The gentle rhythm of a home at peace was to him the foundation upon which all of civilization rests. Aristotle walked slowly along the shores of Lesbos at dawn, watching the tiny translucent bodies of jellyfish pulse and drift with currents too subtle for the human eye. He believed that every delicate tentacle and unfurling leaf held a fragment of the universe's deepest logic, waiting to be seen. Socrates would sit beneath the olive trees as the afternoon light grew long and golden, asking questions so soft they felt like ripples in still water. He never planted answers. He simply helped his students brush away the silt until the truth already within them became clear. Lao Tzu imagined a way of living that felt like water touching stone. No resistance, no striving, just the patient and endless yielding that over millennia reshapes mountains, the softest thing in the world overcoming the hardest. Not through force, but through simply being what it is. In the ancient night, long before telescopes or written theories, a philosopher lies awake on a rooftop in Miletus, staring into the vast velvet darkness and wondering if all of existence began as water, or mist, or fire. His question drifts upward unanswered and becomes the first whisper of science. And with that, I think we've wandered far enough for one night. Your mind has touched the shores of ancient seas and sat beneath olive trees with those who first learned to wonder. If this gentle space helped you drift a little closer to sleep, leave a soft like below and subscribe so I can be here whenever the quiet hours call for a voice beside you in the dark. Good night, sleep well, and remember, the philosophers knew that some questions are not meant to be answered tonight, only held gently until morning.
Rest now, everything is exactly as it should be.